Hey, what's up guys, it's BenBonk, and welcome back to the 57th or final Slimekeep Devlog. If you're new here, well, Slimekeep is a top-down roguelike game that I've been developing for the past 5 years and documenting my progress on this channel. And it feels crazy to say this, but the game is finally almost ready to release after all this time. So in this devlog, I'll take you through some pretty huge changes I've made to wrap up the game before its release. And speaking of release, you may be wondering when that is. Well, I'm thrilled to announce that Slimekeep will officially be releasing on April 7th. So mark your calendars, tell all your friends, and if you haven't wishlisted the game already, please do so. This helps Steam promote the game at launch and gives you an email notification when the game releases. And as for a bit of general info on the April 7th release, the game will be out on PC and Mac on Steam for $14.99. However, there will be a 20% launch discount for the first week, making the game only $11.99, so make sure to pick up the game then, as it likely won't go on sale again for quite a while. Also, don't worry, if you live in a country outside the US, the price will be region adjusted, so everyone can enjoy the game regardless of where you live. And if you think the price conversion is unfair where you live, feel free to let me know, as my goal is to make the game as accessible as possible. But anyways, we've got a ton to cover as I've been working very hard these past few months, so let's get right into it. One thing that players had been requesting was a way for you to delete save/game data in the game. And I figured I might as well give the players this option, so I created this program in the start screen computer where you can delete save data and game data. Then I also got a lot of feedback that the game's UI didn't really work on ultra-wide monitors, so I spent a few days reworking a ton of UI and getting it to work properly on all 21:9 aspect ratio monitors, so good stuff there. Then for a few more small changes, I gave all bullets in the game yellow trails instead of dark blue trails on certain override tileset days so the player can actually see projectiles, and I also increased the number of upgrade slots the player has by adding a scroll bar in the inventory UI. But enough small changes, let's talk about a big one that changes the fundamental gameplay of Slimekeep. See, one very consistent piece of feedback that I'd received from my playtesters was that the slime pet just wasn't strong enough. If you don't know, in Slimekeep you have the choice to kill slimes to gain slime balls, which can be used to purchase weapons and upgrades for your player. But you can also capture these slimes instead to feed them to your slime pet to upgrade him. Now, this idea makes sense in theory, but if the slime pet scales way slower than the player, and captured slimes are worth far less than killing slimes, it all kind of falls apart, and this is sort of the case as of now. So I knew I wanted to make these slime pets stronger, but how could I do this? Well, I had an idea. A few devlogs ago, I created a new slime pet upgrade called Armed Ally, which makes it so the player can drop weapons to the slime pet, which they can use to fight against slimes. This upgrade was my favorite slime pet upgrade by far, and I always had a ton of fun using it in game. So I figured, why not give the pet this upgrade by default and make it a core mechanic of the pet? Now, I know it's quite late to make such a big gameplay change, but I gave it a shot and made it so the player can by default drop weapons to the pet, which he can either auto attack with or manually shoot depending on where you, the player, shoot. And after a bit of playtesting, this change seemed to work pretty well and make the pet much stronger, but still not too strong. So please feel free to let me know what you think of this in the comments below. But anyways, because the Armed Ally pet upgrade was no longer useful, I had to create a new Ranger pet upgrade. So I made this one called Auxiliary Ammo, which makes it so the pet weapon shoots 2 bullets instead of 1. I also wanted to rework the kind of clunky Ranger pet upgrades to more impactful ones that would utilize the pet's weapon. So I removed a bunch of the old ones and replaced them with new upgrades that would upgrade the pet's weapon accuracy, fire rate, and cause them to inflict poison or freeze onto enemy slimes. And staying on the topic of pet upgrades, another form of them we have are these things called rush mode upgrades, which are like active upgrades that the player can purchase with captured slime currency. Now the thing is, right now these upgrades would only affect the player by, for example, giving them increased fire rate or double bullets for a limited period of time when activated. However, since the pet also had a weapon now, I got some feedback that I should make the rush mode upgrades also affect the slime pet. This sounded pretty sick, so I did just that. And yeah, now every rush mode upgrade also affects the pet, but I did make these upgrades a bit more expensive to compensate for this. Anyways, moving on to another game issue was the fact that some players would never let slimes grow in the game, which is kind of a core mechanic, so yeah, that's not great. Now, one piece of feedback I got to sort of solve this would be to add number pop-ups after killing slimes to show how many slime balls that slime dropped. While maybe this wasn't the most ideal solution, my thought was that hopefully this way players would be more aware of the difference in slime ball drops between slimes and get them to think more about if they want slimes to grow or not. So in game, here they are, and I do think these pop-ups look pretty satisfying, so there we go. Now, before I move on to some more small changes, I should probably take a second to explain the majority of my work over the past few months. See, while I have been working on a decent amount of new stuff, just keep in mind that like 95% of what I'm working on is just small bug fixes, polish, and implementing feedback. For example, here are all my changelogs uploaded to my Discord server for my playtesters over the past few months, and there are a lot of small changes. As I'm in that final stretch of development, I've really just spent so much of my time fixing tiny things and cleaning up those loose ends to make the player experience as smooth as possible. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that and not think that game development, especially as I'm getting very close to release, is still just adding new content all the time, as in reality, most of what I do is just fixing and polishing old mechanics. But anyways, moving on to some more changes, I updated the NPC dialogue bubble pop-up animation to be a bit faster and snappier. I added a new weapon inventory page to the pause menu so you can view all your weapons there, and I also added an info program to the computer in-game that links to my YouTube channel and Discord server. Now onto a few more bigger changes. In the last Slimekeep Devlog, I added visual variety to Slimekeep in the form of tileset overrides. We had the Catacombs tileset override, which looked like this, as well as the Wastelands tileset override, which looked like this. But Equipped Hats in my Discord server wanted to make a few more, which I was totally here for, so now we have this new Palace tileset override, which just looked really sick, and we also had this Swamp tileset override, which was animated and also just really helped with visual variation, so huge shout out to Equipped Hats. And on the topic of visual variation, one other method of this in the game was through the weather system, where each day in the game has a chance to rain, snow, be foggy, or be windy. Although the thing is, some players didn't like how intense these effects were, so I added in a setting where you can reduce the weather particle emissions if you'd like. And sticking with weather for a second, Splash in my Discord server had the idea that weather should be more than just a visual effect and actually alter the gameplay slightly. I really like this idea, so I got to work. I wanted these changes to be subtle and not too gameplay changing, but also noticeable. So starting with rainy days, I simply made all slimes grow much faster on these days, as the rain makes them grow faster for some reason, I don't know. Then for snowy days, I made it so the player's movement is slightly slippery. It's definitely noticeable, but hopefully not too annoying. And then for windy days, I made it so the player moves faster overall, and slimes also jump further. Overall, I think these changes were pretty subtle, but still just a nice touch. And another nice touch I made was creating a simple grass clustered script. Previously, I manually placed every single piece of grass in the game, but with a new simple script, I gave each piece of grass the chance to cluster into groups of 2 to 3 and just help a bit more with visual variety. And that's most of the noticeable changes I made for now. I'll just wrap up this video by talking about what I'm doing to prepare for the launch of the game. As I mentioned earlier, 95% of my work right now isn't on actual new features for the game, but mostly just implementing playtester feedback. So up until launch, that will be my main goal, and I will say, I think it's going pretty well. The game used to be a complete buggy mess under the hood, but now there seems to be way less bugs, and everything runs so much smoother overall, which is great. But that's not to say the game will be perfect at launch, because no game is, and stuff always slips through the cracks. I know I haven't shown much of this process in my recent devlogs, and I typically focus on all the new features, as that stuff is a lot more exciting, but I just wanted to make you guys all aware of the realities of game dev. Another thing I've been spending a lot of time on is marketing for when the game launches. I've been watching so many indie game dev marketing videos and talks, as well as reading a ton of articles. My main method for marketing the game is obviously this YouTube channel, and I'm so appreciative that so many of you are so eager to play the game. But I also think it'd be super sick for people to play and enjoy Slimekeep who don't know who I am, and for the game to break out into the indie roguelike scene. So my main plan right now, which I've been working really hard on, is trying to get indie/roguelike let's players to give my game a go, as well as making some Reddit posts and a few other small things. So we'll see how that goes. And if you have any suggestions marketing wise, please do feel free to let me know. Besides that, I'm also working to get the OST for the game uploaded to Spotify, YouTube, and all your favorite music platforms, so be on the lookout for that, because the composers for Slimekeep absolutely crushed the soundtrack. And finally, I've been working with one of my composers for the game named Splash to create a trailer for the game, which I'm thrilled to announce is out right now. He absolutely killed it, so I'll leave a link to it in the description, which you should totally check out after this video. Anyways, that's mostly it for the development of Slimekeep. It's just crazy for me to think that the game is actually this close to release. I've literally been dreaming about this day for years now, and it's just all an insane feeling. I'll be releasing a video on the day of launch recapping Slimekeep's development, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, I just want to thank each and every one of you for watching these devlogs and supporting the game for such a long time. I never imagined the project getting so big and reaching so many people, so thank you for watching my devlogs and supporting me for the ride. I genuinely mean it when I say I could not have made this game without you guys. From the playtesters who have helped me find thousands of bugs, to the people who have helped with art and music, to the YouTube sponsors who have helped fund the game's development, to you guys for constantly leaving great feedback and positive comments on my Discord and in the comments below, thank you so much. This has been the craziest journey of my life, and I can't believe it's coming to a close so soon. Although that's not to say I will abandon the game post-launch, I'm sure updates will come. But anyways, that's all I have for this devlog. Go check out the trailer in the description, and while you're down there, also wish to Slimekeep on Steam so you can make sure to grab that 20% discount at launch. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.